What's up, guys? Quick substitution this week. The normal hat is out of play because it's Easter Sunday here in Copenhagen, and this is going to be a rundown on challenger banks breaking into the business banking space. Ooh. Challenger banks also having new integrations, new marketplaces being launched with new entrances from France. Challenger banks asking users to name their features. Really quite cool. I quite like that one, actually. And major acquisitions. Are you ready? Let's do it. Here's the rundown. First on my list, and this one's a really fun one, and I'm actually really excited to see what happens here. But if you don't know about them, Starling Bank, I did mention them in a previous video, but they're about to launch, or they are launching, or wait, they have launched, oh man, I gotta get my facts straight. They have launched a new business account. So now they don't only have the current accounts for users, but they've also launched business accounts. What? Can you believe this though? How much of a huge impact it's going to make? I'm hoping for entrepreneurs, small businesses who are struggling to find or get bank accounts in the UK. You know, HSBC, Santander, Lloyds, Barclays, NatWest, they've all been very painful for small businesses trying to get out there and get started. And just the amount of times we hear about the trials and tribulations and just the painful process around getting cards, getting debit cards for the business, just ordering them takes 3, 4, 5 weeks. So I'm really keen to see, they've proclaimed and they are stating that it takes only 10 minutes to start up an account for a business account, which sounds pretty rapid and fair. So anyone who hasn't heard of them, and if you are an entrepreneur starting out your own business for the first time, they're focused only right now on small businesses, so maybe between 1 to 10 employees, I'm guessing. I'm not 100% sure. But try it out. One thing I will say though, and I think you need to be very careful about, is service, right? If you're business banking, you know, you need to have access to your money at all times. You need to be able to speak to someone in an emergency because you can't run your business if you don't have very fast customer service. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Starling Bank won a very important and very prestigious customer service award. So seems like they're doing a lot of things in the right direction. So great one, Starling Bank. Number 2 on my list, and wait a second. Starling's back on my list again at number 2, but also joined by Monzo, to be fair. So what's happening here? Monzo and Starling Bank have both now integrated, I believe somewhat at the same time, with a very cool startup called Credit. Forgotten the name, give me 10 seconds. Credit Ladder, here we go. So Credit Ladder. Now, this is fun because this is focused purely on users, not businesses, but users. So if you have had a hard time building credit, having a good credit score to get access to new financial stuff, or if you've just been quite good at paying your rent, but your credit score is pretty bad, this new API integration will allow them to pull your credit score from paying your property payments on time and in good time, and it will actually feed into Experian, which is a credit score analysis company in the UK. It's pretty big from what I remember, and that will help improve your credit score, and it's all linked now to Monzo and Starling, which is pretty fun. So if you're already using those two online digital banks, this will help to improve your credit score and to be completely honest with you, getting an apartment and getting any kind of thing to live in the UK is extremely difficult now for millennials, but also just for anyone. So having a good credit score becomes more and more important, especially in today's day and age. So fun little integration, and you know, it's starting to feel the heat between Monzo and Starling Bank with the integrations. I think Monzo is beginning to catch up. They're really beginning to realize how important it is. Starling still, in my opinion, is the leader right now in that marketplace thing, but there's a new one on the way I'll tell you about in a second. So yeah, cool stuff, really fun stuff, and good stuff from Starling and Monzo. Number 3 on my list, and to be completely honest with you, I'm noticing a pattern here, a really clear pattern, and because it's Revolut is back on my list. That's the 3rd time in a row they're on my list. But this one's a fun one, and I actually quite like this one. I did speak to Chad from Revolut when he was here in Copenhagen, and they spoke a little bit about this, but they're not the first ones to launch this specific type of feature, if I'm not mistaken. But I love the idea of pitching to your users from a cultural perspective. Hey guys, we're making this cool new feature, and you know what? We want you guys to name it. We want to empower you with this. So that's what they're doing. They've launched a new feature which is coming, which is about to launch. Oh my god, I keep getting my facts not straight. about to launch, but this feature allows you to round up payments. So let's say you make a payment of £5.95, it will round up to £6, and that 5 pence will actually go into a savings account or whatever you want to do with it. So what's happening here is that they're going to ask their users what they should name this feature. It's a small one, but I think it's really funny, and I think it's a really cool little touch to help with brand building and sort of feeling like the users are part of that journey, and they are, to be fair. But kudos to Chad. I know, Chad, that you're doing an amazing amount of work, and it's kind of becoming clear, the strategy of, you're always present in the market. You're always there. You're always being spoken about in the news. Anyone out there who's not doing stuff similar, take note. This is an amazing execution. I think it's incredible how they can continually be in the news, present, and almost always relevant. It's not just, hype news. It's actually interesting stuff to read into. Yeah, hopefully we'll see if it comes up again next week, guys. Revolut, nice one. Hey, Lydia. Lydia. No, I'm just kidding. Number 4 on my list is a company called Lydia. It's based out in France. It's a mobile banking startup. Actually, to be completely honest with you, I had never heard of them until this week. But apparently what they're doing right now is they're actually trying to do something similar to marketplaces like Starling Bank is doing in the UK. So they're trying to launch their own thing where they're actually going to be plugging into loads of other financial services to give sort of kudos to their customer base. It's a user base very similar to the online sort of mobile first banking setups. They're also proclaiming to wanting to be the first meta banking app. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but they're doing their thing. They're based out in France, so I haven't heard of them yet, but it's pretty cool, and I thought they deserve a little bit of a shout out here since it just shows you how rich this fintech ecosystem is and how everyone's trying to push in right now, and just how open it is for new entrants to push in and actually make grounds relatively quickly. I think the biggest hurdle for all these banks is always going to be the licenses. Those are the most expensive parts and require capital, but they also take time. But kudos to Lydia. Finally, we come to the end, and the highlight of this week's news actually comes back to a few big things that were announced. And I think it was in the first vlog, actually, was it? HSBC has been pushing into the space slowly. They're launching a mobile-only thing, but RBS landed a bomb this week, and they've actually acquired the Edinburgh-based accounting software company called Free Agent. If you're not aware of them, they're an accounting software very much focused on smaller sort of independents and helping them just become fully online and move to the cloud for their accounting. This is a really cool maneuver, actually. RBS had made an acquisition to ABN AMRO, I think, quite a few years ago, which almost broke the company. But this is a much smaller acquisition, a much more strategic one, and it feeds into, I believe, one of their plans to offer more services to their client base who are using RBS. So, if you're using RBS, I'm guessing they're going to filter this in. They're keeping Free Agent as a standalone business, just owned and operated by RBS, I'm assuming. And you can actually probably plug into Free Agent, and they're probably going to make it super seamless. That's it for the rundown. Sorry, it's been very much from my home, so not very fancy background, but it's Easter Sunday. I'm going to go enjoy it with some friends of mine, and I'll see you next week on the rundown. Out.